Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a comedy fantasy from USA, English language, released in the year 2018, directed by Joel Potricus, and this film is called Relaxer. So Relaxer is about the impending Y2K Apocalypse. A lot of people believe that as soon as the clock ticks over, everything is going to go to hell, and the main character, Abbie, is stuck in his apartment. Now he's on the couch, and he's another character named Cam is constantly telling him that he has to do challenges he sets him because this Abbie character has never really gone through with anything in his life, and so he's kind of a hopeless case, and he wants to prove himself to the outside world by completing these silly challenges. And so the first challenge is drinking off milk. Now every few minutes Cam will tell him that he has to drink up, and he has to resist the temptation of spewing his guts out, and so he has to finish the whole bottle of milk if he is to defeat this challenge, but unfortunately he fails. So this Cam guy says, look, if you fail the next challenge, I will kick you out of the apartment. And so obviously this is a predicament for Abbie, and he says, okay, well, what can I do to prove that I can actually go through and defeat a challenge? And his next challenge is to get to a certain level of Pac-Man. Now, if he hasn't got to the certain level within a certain time period, he ultimately fails, and he will never amount to anything. And so Abbie wants to prove everybody wrong, so he stays on the couch. Now, ultimately, he cannot leave the couch. So if he needs to pee, he needs to do anything, he has to actually improvise and do something without actually, getting up. And so as he's trying to defeat this level, some, characters come into the film, they visit Abbie, and Abbie notices some very strange things going on, and the impending Y2K apocalypse is starting to play in his mind, and so it all adds up into something truly bizarre. So what that true bizarre quality is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Relaxer. I had no idea what to expect with this movie. I'd never heard of it. The only reason I actually saw the film is that I saw it very cheap on DVD here in Australia. So I looked at the back of the cover and I thought, this looks like a very strange movie, and this is exactly the type of movie that I'm into. So I never heard of Joel Potricus, and so I know that he does have a fan base in previous movies, so I didn't really have previous works to compare this one to. So going into it with a very fresh slate for a new director, it's an independent director, and I thought, okay, well, hopefully I'm going to come away from this movie really, really loving it. And at the end of the day, I really love the attempt at actually creating something very unique and creating his own style, but ultimately the movie felt like a novelty to me, and nothing but a novelty, and ultimately it was a little bit of a letdown in that regard. But I will say the positives to this movie is that it's unlike any other movie that you will see. This is a movie with a very strong sense of style, and that style is done in a very, very bizarre way, and I actually thought the director did a good job at keeping a level of interest in a film basically about a guy stuck on his couch. And ultimately that's a very, very boring idea, but to do it for 90 odd minutes, I thought it took a lot of skill, is because as the movie transpires and it starts to evolve, I thought, all right, well, not a lot is happening, but at the same time a lot was happening, and that was down to what this Y2K apocalypse, the impending doom, what was that all about, the interesting characters that come into the film. The script I thought was actually very tight, and it was actually quite funny. I actually laughing quite a lot throughout the film. It's a very demented sort of movie. It's a grotesque film. There is some bodily fluids that go about that I wasn't expecting. There's vomiting, and so it is a very deranged sort of movie about consumerism. It's a movie about our mundane lifestyle and how we dedicate ourselves to mundane things, and so ultimately it's showing you the boredom and monotony of life in a way that I thought was fairly entertaining for the most part. And so the acting was very good, especially from the main character of Abbie. The way he reacts to certain things I thought was very funny. The supporting characters I thought were really well done. It's a very quirky film. It's a different sort of dimension. This living room of this character was a completely different dimension. It was a filthy sort of run-down apartment, where I felt as though his sole focus was on this computer game, on this Pac-Man. His sole focus was to complete challenges as opposed to actually living his life and taking care of himself. And it shows you when you become dedicated to a certain thing, how life-consuming that can be. And I thought that was an interesting aspect of this movie, and for the most part I thought the interest captured me from start to finish. So you've got some gore effects that I thought were very well done, especially at the end. The movie is not a violent film, film, but it will disgust you through the sheer dirtiness of the movie. It's definitely the kind of movie where you have to have a shower at the end of it, and just the strange sort of quirkiness that the dialogue brings out. It just showcases a director who is very talented, who can make his own world up, and his own world is his own very unique style. And so I definitely have to go and check out his other movies, because Relaxer definitely hits you on an interesting level as far as a visual base is concerned. So the story, as I said, it does take a lot of skill to keep your interest with basically just a guy on the couch, and for the most part it does keep your interest, but unfortunately by the end of the film I was becoming a little bit tired. And ultimately is what I said before, this movie comes across as a novelty, is that it is different. It is a movie that is very, very quirky, but eventually the quirkiness starts to become a little bit tiresome. Fortunately, it doesn't become so tiresome that it ruins the film, but the novelty starts to wear off and you think to yourself, okay, well maybe this would have been a lot better as ultimately a short film. And so it does have the material, and fortunately it doesn't wear itself out, it doesn't outstay its welcome, but it does start to become a little bit tiring to the point where I thought to myself, okay, kind of hurry up a little bit and get to the end. But fortunately I didn't hit the fast forward button, or didn't make me want to hit the fast forward button, but I was getting to the point where I thought to myself, okay, this is kind of wearing thin and it's starting to grind on me a little bit. But then it ends. I thought the ending was really, really strange, and again it makes you think about what the film is about. But ultimately it is a novelty kind of film, but it's a novelty kind of movie that is done very, very well. It's very interesting, it's very, very bizarre. I can see a lot of people not liking this movie for the simple fact that it is very different, and it is trying something very risky in that it's a one setting film. It's a movie that doesn't have car crashes, so it's relying on dialogue and acting, and so the quirkiness keeps your interest, but as I said, it does wear a little bit thin by the end, but fortunately it doesn't ruin the experience. And so it's definitely coming recommended, but for a very acquired taste. If you like your very strange films, then Relaxer is going to be for you. It is a movie that I haven't really seen done before as far as the style and the story is concerned, so if it sounds like your kind of thing, definitely go out there and see it. I'm going to give Relaxer 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies. I'll see you later. Bye.